Well, it feels like a do-or-die must-win game for the Kansas City Chiefs coming up this weekend. Let's talk about Chiefs Colts. Kendall Gammon, former player, of course, our insider here on KCMO. The conversation is brought to you by Xfinity. Sports are unpredictable. The price of your internet should not be. Introducing the 5-year price guarantee, one consistent internet price for 5 years, no annual contracts, guaranteed. All right, Kendall, is this a must-win game on Sunday?
It's about as close as you will get to having one, I think, when you look at it. I think the Chiefs feel like they need to go 6-1 down the stretch to really make the playoffs. They're working. I mean, the AFC West division title is just basically out of reach in my estimation, I think most. And so, this is as close as you get. It's the only time that I've seen a do or die for Patrick Mahomes other than really the Super Bowl when it comes down to it.
No, you're right about that. I mean, this is really a place that he has not been in the regular season. I mean, to be 30 years old at a quarterback in the NFL and really never be in a must-win game in November is kind of a weird place to be. But how do you think these guys are handling it? What are you sensing from them?
You know what? It's interesting. The pressers earlier this week, if you listen to Mahomes and Andy Reid talk about things, just very steady, you wouldn't know that they're 5-5 unless they alluded to it. And I think that just speaks to the quality of leadership you have and how you just keep going about things. Now, Andy Reid, when pressed a little bit, did say, we're aware of the situation. And that's about as close as you'll get to him saying, we realize this is a pretty big game, to say the least. And so, it's not only the fact that they're 5-5 and that they've lost those 5 games, but it's who those 5 losses have come to. When you look at it, the Chargers, the Bills, the Jaguars, the Broncos. I mean, all playoff teams and all teams that have an extra game on them because of that. So it's going to be an interesting one Sunday for sure.
What do the Colts bring to the table right now that concerns you the most?
I think that run, it's hard because they pass the ball well also with Daniel Jones, but I think the run game with Jonathan Taylor is what they do is so good. This may be one of the best, if not the best, offensive lines in the league, and I think that speaks to why they're running the ball well. Also speaks to why Daniel Jones has to be the comeback player of the year and what he's done after what he did in New York. When you look at their defense also, all 3 levels, they're very, very good. And, of course, they obviously feel like they're all in, and this is their year to go after it because they made that blockbuster trade for Sauce Gardner a few weeks ago where they gave up 2 number ones and a player, and that's a really, really steep price. I mean, obviously Sauce Gardner is a good player, but, man, you are giving up a lot when you do that.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And they're going for it, right? I mean, that's the message there. They're going for it, and they think that they need an elite cornerback to ultimately beat teams like the Chiefs and the Bills. I mean, I say the Chiefs even though they're not in the playoffs right now, but they think that they need that elite cornerback. And do you think that Sauce will be on Rashee Rice the entire game? Is that how you see this thing playing out?
I think he certainly could. I mean, he's coming. He's played for this defensive coordinator before, so he has a clue. But he didn't play great the first game, and what he does is man-to-man defense. So I think that would be easily something that they might say, okay, you just got him and take him away the best you can. And I think that would be an easy thing to think about. But when it comes down to it, we talked about it a little bit. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. But in terms of the Colts. This is also the first season after Irsay's passing, and I think with everything going on and how the season has played out, they are just, as we said, just trying to make that push and feel like everything's going their way. It's going to be interesting. The Chiefs, we say it all the time, they always get the best shot of whoever they're playing, and when you look at the Colts and who they've beaten, it's not unbelievably impressive because they've got a 4th place schedule from how they maybe it was a 3rd place, I forget, from last year, and in terms of everything going on. So in their minds, this win, if they were able to get a win in Arrowhead on Sunday, this would kind of legitimize them not only among the pundits, but probably among themselves. It's like, okay, look, see, we beat the Chiefs. And that's the interesting thing. Even at 5-5, people measure themselves against the Chiefs.
Yo, you're right about that. That's absolutely true, at least for this year. We'll see how it goes next year. So what about Travis Kelce said on his podcast yesterday that the Chiefs have to cut out the selfish S, the selfish bleep. He says here, whatever you go into mentally when you're frustrated, you got to kick that bleep aside. You got to think about how you're bleeping going to attack the day, and you got to put all the selfish bleep, all the things you want for yourself aside. It's just got to be about this team, the next guy, and you've got to have fun doing it. I don't sense a lot of selfishness on this team. I mean, if I'm being honest, Kendall, one of the more selfish things I see is Travis Kelce not talking to the media after a game because he's upset. Like, I don't know. Do you sense this team is selfish? I don't.
I don't. I think that's probably just an in-the-moment comment about things and just a frustrated moment when in general. I still push back on I understand why you say, Pete. I still push back on when guys don't want to talk after games. I think that's allowable. And that being said, I do know he's the elder statesman on the team, and the future Hall of Famer, and should stand up, and does most of the time. But I think there's a lot of frustration inside with him, just in terms of how they played. Yeah, I don't know I don't know if I could give you an example of selfishness on this team this year, but sometimes things go on that we don't understand or we don't know about inside the walls.
All right, I got to ask you about this. It went viral yesterday. Special teams coach Dave Tobe saying this.
The president criticized the new kickoff rules when he was at the Washington game. What's your reaction?
He doesn't even know what he's looking at. He has no idea what's going on with the kickoff rule. So, I mean, I take that for what it's worth. And I hope he hears it.
Kendall Gammon on the hot seat. What do you make of Dave Tobe?
Oh, I love Dave. Dave's a great guy. He's a good friend of mine. And honestly, not trying to get political in any shape, but he's probably right. And quite honestly, a lot of people, I'm not sure I understand and know what I'm watching on the kickoff rule all that much also. So it's probably true. But
well, hold on. But here's the thing. If you did this for a living, you played special teams, if you don't know what you're looking at, then isn't it fair to be like, this isn't working out for the average fan if the guy who played it doesn't know what he's looking at?
I don't think so, because do you really have to know everything that's going on with it? No, you just know they're kicking off the ball, you're going to return it. I mean, we know why they did it. It was to get the full speed hits out of the game as much as possible. I haven't seen the statistics, but I think injuries on the kickoff play have gone down dramatically. The NFL desperately doesn't want to take it out of the game, and I can agree with that too, in some manner, although I do think eventually it will be out of the game. But yeah, it's interesting. It's a fun one to talk about. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. All right. Give me a score for Sunday.
Yeah, I've been back and forth on this one. It could go either way, but I was surprised that the Chiefs were favored. But I think that it's the wounded animal in the corner right now, and I have to win. And I've got the Chiefs like 23-20, 23-17, somewhere in there.
All right, Kendall. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you on Monday, hopefully on a Victory Monday. Thanks so much.
Sounds good. Stay dry.
All right, there you go. Kendall Gammon on KCMO. Give me a score there, boys. Who wants to go first? Mark?
I'll take it.
All right.
Take it first. I think that the Chiefs are going to win 27-21.
Okay.
Cover the 3.5.
What do you got there, John?
Chiefs to lose 31-24.
Okay. I am going, it's at Arrowhead and a must win. That's why I see him winning. You look at Mahomes' numbers at home versus on the road, it's night and day. So I will go Chiefs 31, Colts 20. I think it's a comfortable win, cover the 3.5. Big bounce back win for this team to stay in the playoff race with the backs against the wall. So there you go. There you go. Kendall's got him 23-20. Mark's got him 27-21. I've got 31-20. And John has the Colts 31-24. 913-408 795-7. Text line is already ticked off for you, John. He can't pick the Chiefs to lose. WTF on the text line.
Oh, I'm the one paying attention. I know. There ain't no magic button this year. There's no genie in the bottle. What we see is what we get.
Oh, that's great. We've got Parker McCollum tickets in 1 hour. Your last chance to win this week. And Bill O'Reilly is going to be here at 8:05. Do not miss it on a Red Friday morning on 95.7 FM KCMO.
From Overland Park to Parkville, you're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Got a big meeting today happening at the White House. Good morning, 721. It's great to have you here on KCMO Talk Radio. So we have Bill O'Reilly, who you just heard, coming up in 40 minutes on the show. So do not miss the great Bill O'Reilly, 8:05, right before those Parker McCollum tickets on 95.7 FM. So you've got the mayor of New York City, Zohran Mamdani, meeting with the president today at the White House. And I kept thinking to myself, well, why would the president want to do this? And the only conclusion I could come to is that he wants to brand this guy as the face of his political opponents. He wants to make the communist mayor of New York City, or socialist mayor, whatever he wants to call himself, he wants to make this guy the face of his political opponents going into next year. It's a smart move. Now, I'm not sure it's going to work because as much as Fox News is obsessed with New York City because, you know, they're based out of New York City, I don't believe that swing voters in Kansas or Missouri or Ohio or anywhere else in the country are really going to look at the 2026 midterms as Trump versus Mamdani. I don't think that's going to work the way they think it's going to work. I understand why they're doing it, but I don't think it's going to work the way they think it's going to work. But this is smart optics for Trump. He's going to sit there with this guy. Now, I don't know if he's going to beat up Mamdani. I don't know how this is going to work. But Caroline Leavitt gave us a little bit of insight yesterday, the White House press secretary, when she had this to say about the meeting with Mamdani.
I will just add, it speaks volumes that tomorrow we have a communist coming to the White House because that's who the Democrat Party elected as the mayor of the largest city in the country. I think it's very telling, but I also think it speaks to the fact that President Trump is willing to meet with anyone and talk to anyone and to try to do what's right on behalf of the American people, whether they live in blue states or red states or blue cities, in a city that's becoming much more left than I think this president ever anticipated in his many years of living in New York himself.
So it's very obvious what they're doing, right? You can see it clear as day. She's like, here's the commie coming to the White House. Woo, this is New York. This could be the rest of the country if you're not careful. Smart, but that's usually not how it works in a midterm when you're going into a year and you have all the power. People aren't really thinking, well, I don't know if I trust the other guy or other gal. They're just thinking, I don't like necessarily what's going on right now. And that's typically how people vote in these things. But it makes sense for them to do it. Now, Mayor Lucas was on the show yesterday. I asked him about the Mamdani visit. Remember, 2 weeks ago, he told me he's a Mamdani guy. He said it right here on the show. I mean, he said a lot over 5+ years on the show. And that made my jaw hit the floor. So I asked him, hey, your boy's going to the White House. Why don't you tag along? He's going to the White House on Friday, so you can try to, hook yourself up with your buddy there in New York and maybe get an invite.
Talk about it, right? I try to be nice and all that sort of stuff. Never get there. Mamdani can protest, do everything else. He's there before he's sworn in. But that's all right. But look, and here's the thing.
New York bias. It's New York bias.
Yes, total New York bias. We make comparisons to Kansas City, and I tell people when President Trump is talking about American cities, he's thinking about the American city he grew up in and others where he's invested in. He may not be thinking about our city. And as this point goes, I don't actually take that as a knock. I'd rather have us doing good things, working across the aisle, building a strong future, instead of being a bunch of famous people that get to meet and talk about things and be on the cover of the New York Post, which I hope to never be in my life.
He's jealous. I think the mayor's a little jelly there that Mamdani's getting the big one-on-one treatment from Trump, and he's not. You know and I know. Quentin Lucas would love that situation. Oh, he would eat it up. Could you imagine those two guys sitting there next to each other, fellas, in the Oval Office? All the cameras from around the world.
I'm trying to, work that out.
Oh, man. He would be on cloud 9. He would love it.
Bring in some cheeseburgers, French fries. They'd be having fun.
Oh, my gosh. He would be the happiest guy in the world. And you know what? All his interviews on KCMO would prep him well for that spot on the world stage.
Oh, he is prepared, yeah.
He would be smooth. There's no doubt about it. Now, speaking of smooth and Mondani and what he's got going on today at the White House, he was interviewed yesterday about the free buses he wants to bring to New York City, which, of course, we have here in Kansas City. And listen to this guy's answer. I mean, it is right out of the playbook of somebody who's never actually done anything for a living.
You're talking about fast and free buses and you're meeting with the governor. I've heard you talk about many times that you don't want to take money away from the MTA. You want to put money back in. It's something that she agrees with, right? We don't want to take away money from the MTA. How are you getting that money, the $700 million to make the buses free, into the MTA if she's not for raising taxes?
You know, I think that the two clearest ways to raise that money is through the raising of the state's corporate tax to match that of New Jersey. I think that a lot of this is still a case to be made, whether it's the corporate tax or whether it's the personal income tax on those who make more than $1 million a year or more. I think that these are the clearest ways. I've also said that if there are other ways to raise this funding, the most important fact is that we fund it, not the question of how we do it, but that we do it.
Hey, who cares where the money's coming from or if we even have the money? We just got to do it. We'll worry about that, figuring out the money side later. I think I'm going to do that when I get home today. I'm going to say, Kate, we need a new 70-inch TV, okay? We got a big game this weekend. Got a lot of college football next week. Michigan, Ohio State on Black Friday. Then the college football playoff. We just got to buy the 70-inch TV. Honey, I don't know if it's in the budget. Don't worry about that. We'll figure that out later, okay? We just got to get the 70-inch TV and worry about how we buy it later on, John. That's how it goes.
Well, isn't that the mindset of America right there all summed up?
Yeah, it is. You're right.
Unfortunately, that's why that appeals.
Yes. Give people their free stuff now. Figure out how to pay for it later. Coming up, Thanksgiving's in 6 days, and are half of your guests going to be stoned? We have the data next.
Hey, it's Kevin Kietzman. Stick around. I'm coming up at 10 o'clock right after Pete Mundo on KCMO 95.7 FM.
Lead story this morning in the Wall Street Journal, headlines here. This year's Thanksgiving surprise, half of the guests are stoned. What started as a secret trip to smoke before dinner has mushroomed into a full-blown commercial holiday. Ever notice at Thanksgiving dinner when certain members of your family return from walking the dog or picking up more ice, you're suddenly a paragon of wit and insight? You're not. They're just high. See, I'm torn here. Because as someone who will, enjoy a drink or two on Thanksgiving, I'm okay with that. Now, I'm not a pot guy. Never been my thing. Not of interest to me. But I also don't think it's good for society. But am I being a hypocrite? I mean, I don't have the answer here. I'm asking you because ever since I read the story this morning, I've thought about this. Am I being a hypocrite by saying I'm okay with having a bottle, not me having the bottle of wine, but, having a bottle of wine. I actually don't like wine anymore. Having a bottle of wine out on Thanksgiving for people that want it, having a beer while watching the football game, but then saying the pot stuff, am I being an old fogey by saying the pot stuff just doesn't do it for me and I don't think it should be normalized or legalized, John?
I suppose there are different levels of conversation here about altered states of mind and how you get there. I guess we're separating legality maybe as acceptability.
Well, it says here in the story, marijuana, of course, is legal for medicinal use in 40 states and now recreational use in more than half of those. So Kansas does not have medicinal, obviously, or recreational. Missouri has recreational. Go to Arrowhead this weekend. You used to smell barbecue. Now you smell pot. I hate it, but it is what it is.
See, and that's the thing. So if liquor was acceptable because it's legal, then you would have to extend the same courtesy now.
Yeah.
Right? Which then goes back to the bigger question about just imbibing in anything.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And we know that alcohol consumption is also trending down. Younger generations in particular are not drinking like older generations did at their age and do in general. So you're seeing that trend. I think that's generally a positive trend. I'm not sitting here saying that, getting blackout drunk or doing any of those things are positives for society. They're certainly not. But can you do all of this stuff? Can you enjoy pot responsibly? Can you have a drink responsibly? And if that's part of your Thanksgiving routine suddenly, if it's legal in your state, should I be sitting here judging it? I don't know. I've been having that conversation, 913-408-7957, with myself over the last couple of hours as I'm thinking about this conversation with you.
Debate.
And I keep going back and forth in my own head with it. Let me see the text line. I'm sure there's a stoner up early listening on the text line. Let's see what we got. Doesn't want to call in. I get it. Pete, I've done both. Getting high makes you a zombie. Well, here's the thing.
To get the good stuff.
The Wall Street Journal piece is it's great to have that stoned person at Thanksgiving because they're the ones who wash the dishes. I'm like, no, they're not. They're the ones who lick the dishes and then just sit there with their face in their plate and don't do anything. At least that's been my experience. The guy or gal that's stoned at Thanksgiving dinner is really not a valuable member of cleaning up. In fact, the person that may have a slight buzz from alcohol, I feel like, is far more likely to help clean up than the person who's sitting there stoned. But that's been my anecdotal experience at 913-408-7957. So I don't know what these people are taking in this Wall Street Journal piece, but that has not been my experience at all. Just not a chance. All right. Jim in Olathe. What's up, Jim?
Good morning, Pete. Back in the 70s, I was smoking a lot of pot.
Okay.
And I've had personal experience with that and, of course, drinking. But marijuana is, and I saw personally what it did to other people, it makes you unproductive. It's not good for you. I think you can't smoke a joint and just it's not like having a beer and you just feel a little buzz. It's like you're, especially with the potency of marijuana today, you are a zombie. And I don't think it's good, especially not good for young people. And there's been a lot of data that shows that there's a lot of mental health issues with people, especially younger people, that start smoking it. So I've always been challenged. Anybody that says, well, that's equal to alcohol. It's not.
Yeah.
I've had personal experience with it. So.
And that has been where I've been. I think you can say, hey, you can have a beer, you can have 2 beers. Definitely it can get out of control. You're right about that. And that's certainly been a topic of conversation in this country for, well over 100 years at this point. But I rarely have seen people be able to do the marijuana or smoke the marijuana. Do the marijuana. Sound like I'm 100 years old. Do the marijuana. Do the weed. Do the pot. And then function at, relatively normal levels. But then again, the more you do anything, the more likely you are to be able to function at a reasonable level. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword there.
Everybody I knew that when I was that age that were potheads have not either they're dead, for a number of reasons, or they've never really accomplished much in their life. And I was in that group, and fortunately I broke out of it. But I'm just saying, that's what I've seen personally. And it's an anecdotal thing, but
No, I'm with you there, Jim. I mean, I would say the same thing for me. I mean, the people I knew growing up who were massive potheads have not exactly turned out to be, the cream of the crop. Levi in Kansas City, what's up, man?
Hey, Pete. Just a quick comment on that. There are functioning stoners out there. I do it on a daily basis, and it's going to be part of my Thanksgiving day. But I'm fully functioning. I can do all types of work. I help my dad with his house. I just put it on a roof with him over last weekend. Stoned the whole time, did fantastic job.
Wait. You were stoned while doing a roofing job?
Yes, sir.
Oh, my gosh. I'm getting nervous just thinking about that.
I understand that. But just like functioning alcoholics, there's functioning everything. But I'm just saying, with some people, it's not going to make them zombified.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, everyone handles it differently. I understand that.
So, and most of the people that I come to my Thanksgiving, like my cousins, my brothers, and everything like that, I mean, they do it too, but I mean, everybody's functioning.
Yeah.
They're
so it's
not zombified. They're taking care of their children. They're enjoying their time with mom and dad, grandma, everybody.
Yeah. All right, Levi. Thank you, my man.
You have a great day.
I appreciate it. You too. I mean, if I got stuck on a roof stoned, I'd call the fire department in a heartbeat to help me. I mean, I'm getting nervous. I'm getting hives. I'm breaking out just thinking about that. That's scary. I don't like heights to begin with. Then throw me on a roof with little marijuana, and I'm in big trouble.
I guess some people, if they do it enough, it maybe helps them focus. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe true. Matt in Overland Park. Go ahead, Matt.
That was exactly right. For some people, it does help them focus. I personally do it, and helps my anxiety and dealing with stupid people during the day.
Matt, that's the best argument for pot I've heard yet. If I have to deal with a lot of stupid people, I guess that is a compelling argument to make on behalf of marijuana.
Thanks, guys.
Michael in Kansas City, you're on KCMO. Hello, Michael.
Yes, I don't drink for 2 reasons. I hate the taste of alcohol.
Okay.
Number 2, I don't want somebody ending up like me. I'm crippled from a drunk driver 38 years ago, and now I have to go to KU and see if a doctor can correct this. I wish all the drunk drivers were in jail for the rest of their lives. I don't smoke pot, I don't drink, and I don't smoke, and I don't do drugs. And these idiots that do that ought to be in jail for the rest of their lives so they don't kill me or kill somebody else.
Hey, Michael, can I ask you something? I mean, first off, obviously, I'm very sorry given your situation. Is there a nuanced conversation to have around, hey, people can have a drink, especially if they're not driving, and that can be separated from those who get plastered and then get behind the steering wheel?
I don't believe in people drinking and driving.
Well, I agree. I mean, no one should do that.
And they keep doing it even without a driver's license. The guy that did it to me is doing it again in Johnson County. He was 19 years old when I got hit 30 years ago, and his family was rich, gave him a car, no insurance, no driver's license. He's doing it again.
How do you know what do you mean he's doing it again?
The police told me he's driving drunk and hitting people. And the laws are so lax, they don't put him in jail. They did once, a year after he hit me, killed a family of 3, went to jail for 10 years, got out, and he's doing it again. I protested all his parole hearings. He spent every day in jail. I think they ought to be in jail for...
Is he in jail right now? Is he in jail right now?
What?
Is he in jail right now?
No.
He's not. Okay.
And he's doing it again.
All right.
I think they all, and the guy that I work with over at Sunflower Dodge, he smoked pot while he was driving. I don't work there anymore. I haven't worked there for 20 years. They laid me off. When Steve Oliver found out about it, he got mad, went down there and said, "You're not supposed to smoke pot." He said, they told him, go to hell. He sold the place, New Century Dodge. They escorted everyone to jail. The guy, I hear, is still in jail, but I think he got out on parole.
Well,
he's doing it again.
Michael, just take care of yourself, my friend. I appreciate the input.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to a specialist over at KU.
All
he
right.
may be able to help me.
Good deal. Thank you, Michael. Listen, that's obviously, whether it's driving stoned or drunk, that's obviously a different ball game, different conversation. And we know that's still a major problem, sad to say. Not as bad as it was maybe 30, 40 years ago, but it's a problem. And that's why you're seeing the news yesterday that at least Olathe announced and then Douglas County announced that they are going to have more cops on the roads starting on Sunday for all of Thanksgiving week. And they got the party started early yesterday morning when they gave me a ticket. So they were prepping for the big Thanksgiving week by nabbing me coming out of my neighborhood and going, I guess, 59 and a 45. And, I got that ticket now to prove it, John.
You could be number one on the list when they rack up the totals at the end of the holiday.
Yeah, I could be.
Number one was
Pete,
Very first guy.
I'll put up a plaque in my office.
Right.
Right? That's what I'll do. When I told the girls at dinner last night that I got a speeding ticket, they looked at me like I spent the day in prison and I was a hardened criminal.
Yeah.
That's how they looked at me. They're like, what? They were just blown away and they were shocked. And they literally, I think at first were like, how was jail, Dad? It's like, no.
How's the food in there?
Yeah.
What's it like inside?
How's your orange jumpsuit there, old man? No. That's and then I had to explain to them I just got a ticket. And I explained to them it looks like a receipt at the grocery store. That's what the ticket's like. And then my oldest was kind of wondering like why it wasn't like an actual ticket, like a little ticket stub. What do you mean it looks like a receipt from the grocery store? I'm like, I don't know. I guess that's where the $45 in court costs go to pay for the paper bills on the tickets.
Right. You've got to reload that thing.
And it's like going to CVS, you buy two things and the freaking receipt's 4 feet long.
Is there a barcode or a survey down there at the bottom for a discount?
Tell us how we did, right? I had to call my internet provider yesterday. We're going to send you a survey after the fact. Tell us how we did. It's like, no, just fix my problem. I don't have time for this.
Yeah,
I just spent 30 minutes on the phone with you. I don't have time to tell you how you did.
I get that from the lawn guys. They put it down. I'm like, it's going to take a couple of weeks before I can tell you if it worked or not.
Yeah, well, that's a good point, too. Oh, my goodness. All right. We've got Bill O'Reilly in 15 minutes on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. Parker McCollum tickets at 8:15 on a Red Friday on KCMO.
From Smithville to Shawnee Mission, you're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Bill O'Reilly, 10 minutes away. Do not miss it. Probably his last appearance here on KCMO of 2025. We'll give Bill a break during the holidays. So don't miss that. Just over 10 minutes away on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio. And Bobbi Joe Reed will be here at 9 as our feature Friday guest, the founder of Healing House here in Kansas City. So Steve Moore, our buddy, former economist under the president during his first term in office. He was on Fox Business this morning. And you know I love Steve. We have great back and forths on this show. He's a smart economist. He's a guy who gets it. I think he should be more involved in this administration. But he said something moments ago on Fox Business that he completely missed the mark on. Here's what Steve Moore had to say.
Final point, if I may, about the employment situation. The people who are least optimistic about the economy right now, Maria, are young people, the 18 to 30-year-olds. And I've been scratching my head wondering, well, why is that? And one reason is that these kids are graduating. I call them the snowflake generation. They're graduating from college, and they have degrees in political science and sociology and psychiatry, ethnic studies. Employers don't want that. They don't care. They want people who know how to do things. It's a real negative mark against our universities that they're turning out kids who are not ready for this new economy.
I love Steve. That is the most ridiculous thing he's ever said. Do not be the boomer on the high horse who's made it and be like, these kids, they don't know what they're doing. They're just lazy because they got crappy degrees. Now, there is a percentage of them that is true. Absolutely. There is a percentage of young people that is absolutely true with. But young men in particular didn't start shifting dramatically to the right and then start saying, I don't know if this is the right way because they realize they have a gender studies degree. That's not who we're talking about here. Okay? And, when Steve Moore, and he was on the show a week ago, and he kind of made a similar point where he's like, well, you think interest rates are high now. You should have seen them back in 1980, 15, 16, 17%. Okay, yeah, you know what else was the case in 1980? A median income family could afford a median priced home because the home price to income ratio was 3.0. Today, the median income home price to income ratio is double that at 6.0. So it costs the median family 6 times their annual salary to afford an average home in America today. That number was half of that 45 years ago. If Republicans are going to go into the midterms and be like, yeah, the people that don't like the economy are just blue-haired gender studies freaks, they're going to get their clocks cleaned. They are going to get smoked. There is a small percentage of people. You're never going to win over the gender studies blue-haired crowd, so don't worry about them. But there are serious people with serious jobs who are 25, 30, 35, who are doing good work, who are productive members in the economy, and they feel like they will never be able to live the life their parents lived. That is a legitimate concern. And to poo-poo it, as Steve Moore just did, is a massive political miscalculation and will get my preferred party and his preferred party slaughtered coming up next year if that's the approach they take. I love you, Steve, but that is a bad, bad job this morning on Fox Business. Bill O'Reilly is right around the corner after the news on KCMO Talk Radio. I was getting nervous. Bill O'Reilly, I mean, the guy was all over the map the last couple of weeks. He's in L.A. He's doing Howie Mandel. He's doing Bill Maher. I was like, boy, does he still have time for us on KCMO in Kansas City? And God bless him, he does. BillO'Reilly.com every night. You hear his morning update at 7:15. You hear the No Spin News at 8 p.m. Confronting Evil is absolutely crushing it ahead of the holidays. Bill, good morning. What was the best part of that L.A. podcast tour you were on the last few weeks?
Getting on the plane coming home. I used to like to go out to the West Coast, Southern California. Weather's great. I have a lot of friends out there, or I did. A lot of them are leaving. And, it was a nice environment, nice change from New York. But this time, there was a gloom, and I mean that, just hanging over the whole place. We stayed in Beverly Hills, which is like a total country different from California. They have their own laws, their own police, their own everything. No homeless. They don't put up with anything there. But Los Angeles himself is a mess. It's filthy. Crowded with cars. There's no traffic control. Shoplifting is legal. So if you want to go in and buy a razor blade, it takes 2 hours. They got to get it out of the cabinet. They got to get your ID. It's insane. Wow. So we did it, obviously, to promote Confronting Evil. It worked very well for us. It's always a bit of a risk to go on somebody like Maher's show. I've known him for a long time, decades. But, when I strut in there, it's me against him. That's what it's all about. It was friendly, and I think it went our way.
I agree. I watched it, but I will give Maher this. He's not one of these way out there left loons, right? I mean, he's had moments like this the last couple of years where he's called out the crazy left in his preferred political party. Is that something that you give him credit for, or is he just stating the obvious when he does that?
I don't know if I give him credit for it or anybody else. I'm not picking on Bill Maher. My philosophy, Mundo, is pretty simple. Do the right thing. Your ideology is not supposed to prevent you, and I'm talking to conservatives and liberals, from doing the correct thing for yourself, your family, and your country. So I don't know if I give people credit for doing the right thing. I think that Maher showed some courage, and he's always had that, by going against his ingrained audience. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting because when I walked out there, if you're going to go to Paramount to sit there and see Bill Maher, chances are you're a progressive or lean that way. And the audience was very respectful, but at the end, they were rooting for me.
Really?
And the reason they were was I kind of brought a little humor into it. I wasn't trying to, make anybody look bad or anything like that. I was all what they call reactive. I didn't go in with any agenda at all. I'm going to answer your questions. And then when Maher, which he always does, took a cheap shot saying, well, I'm still on television and you're not, and I was ready for that. I just crushed him. I said, well, it might not be true. I had 23 million people watching me on News Nation in the Three Americans Town Hall in the Kennedy Center. And that's like 10 HBOs. And he had no comeback. Well, I'll have to check those stats are in stone. Okay? So anyway, it was a good experience, but you got to know where you're going, and you got to be prepared for anything.
Well, Maher came off like a dinosaur there because he doesn't realize how people consume their content in the 21st century.
There you go.
So
I'm the Luddite.
Yeah.
I'm the true Luddite. People go, oh, TikTok. I wouldn't know how to get the TikTok. What? I know what it is, but I've never been there. But I know my numbers. Mm-hmm. I know what everybody is doing in the United States, radio, television, internet, because that's my business. Mm-hmm. I compete. And yeah, he did come across somebody who didn't really have much of a clue how Americans are consuming information these days.
You're so right. Bill O'Reilly's here on KCMO. So, Bill, you had, I think it was yesterday, your message of the day talking about President Trump and how much access he gives to the media, while at the same time, not that they're ever going to be fair to him, but boy, they are obviously all in on destroying this second term, and he does give them some ammunition. I mean, this whole thing with the drug boats and their video and now his response calling it seditious behavior. Where do you think that relationship between the president and the media can go, needs to go, or should go here as we go into a midterm year in 26?
Well, I'm writing a column for Sunday on this very same topic on BillO'Reilly.com. It's not going to go anywhere because it benefits both parties. So Trump gets currency from the MAGA people and his supporters when he goes in and he threatens to execute the press. They like that. And then the press gets currency from their mostly liberal watchers when they go in and try to embarrass Trump. It's a game. It's not doing American people any good, but it's a political game. And the game's not going to stop. So, Trump's not going to give he's not going to give anybody at ABC, Mary Bruce, a lethal injection. All right. It's not going to happen. But he can just say stuff and rally his forces. That's what a populist does. And Ms. Bruce, who asked him the very rude question when the Saudi prince was in the Oval Office, all she wants to do is run him down. She's not interested in getting any information from Trump or the prince. She just wants to embarrass them, which is embarrassing in itself, because that's not what journalism's supposed to be.
So then, with that being the case, if it's a game, as you said, is it a game that can help the president and his party win in the midterms, or is the game going to be won by the other side, who gets a lot of ammunition out of this stuff?
Well, the game is pretty tired now. I think everybody's getting a little tired of the game. So I wouldn't be putting a lot of hope that this is going to be a big vote persuader.
Mm-hmm.
It goes day by day, but what's really going to make the difference next year, and you saw that when Trump took the tariffs off Brazil, is the price of food. And, on an ancillary front, insurance just killing working people, just killing, home, car, health, across the board. These insurance companies are greedy SOBs. They don't want to pay your claim. I mean, if I were president, I'd go in on these people, boy, oh boy, because I know what they're doing. And they're not looking out for anybody but themselves. And look, I think I talked to you about this a few weeks ago. Patrick Mahomes, love him, by the way, unbelievable athlete. He's making about $10 million from State Farm Insurance, doing the cute commercials.
Mm-hmm.
And more power to Patrick. More power. I do it all day long. But those insurance companies are jacking up every rate they can for people making $50,000 a year. You see what I mean?
Yep.
And so I'm sitting here going, wait a minute. Maybe you cut back on a few of the commercials and give the working folks a break. But no. Okay. So you want to go? I'm going to take this on as a cause. And President Trump should too as well. Should do that. Because if he can show in the early part of 26, first 6 months, that he is actively working to bring these prices down, they have a good shot, the Republicans, to retain power. If he can't, and they get worse, Democrats will win at least one house.
What about, though, on that issue in particular, Bill O'Reilly, tort reform being part of the equation here? I mean, I remember all the jingles of the Celino and Barnes guys there in New York. Every other TV commercial here in Kansas City is some personal injury attorney. I mean, what about tort reform? You're seeing some success in Florida on that front, and I would love to see that cause taken up as well, because there's a lot of grifters in that business.
State issue.
Mm-hmm.
Feds can't do that. So that's a state-by-state issue. And you're absolutely right. These ambulance chasers, and many of them are extortionists.
Yes.
Okay? They're running wild. And they're jacking up every fee for everybody, and the insurance has to pay it, and they justify their rate increases by saying, well, we got to pay out all these judgments.
Mm-hmm.
Well, states got to get, every state has an insurance commission, has an agency that's supposed to oversee this stuff. Well, I don't know many states that do. You mentioned Florida. I'd have to look into it. But that is a corruption in our country that is outrageous.
Yeah.
But the folks aren't there yet. The folks are there on the grocery stores.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not quite there on how badly they're getting hosed by the insurance companies.
You're right about that. So speaking of insurance, obviously we have not talked to you since the shutdown ended. Democrats will make a big issue going into 26 on these Obamacare subsidies being extended. Almost 15 years of Obamacare, Bill, and it doesn't seem like Republicans have had a very good answer to any of this. Where do you see that going as we head towards the end of this year into early next year?
Well, I assume that the leadership in the House and Senate, and that's Johnson and Thune, are talking about putting forth a health care bill that would drive down insurance premiums. I assume they're doing that, but I don't know for sure. Now, it's not a big issue for Trump because it's so complicated, and Trump's a deal maker. He's a singular deal maker. Okay, so he's got the Saudi Arabian guy in there. One day, he gets $1 trillion, Trump, of investment into the USA. That's what he does. But a long, complicated slog through public policy, that's not his strength. So it's got to be done in the congressional area. You would think the Republicans would be on it, but I don't know.
Yeah. That's a good point. Bill O'Reilly here on KCMO. Well, Bill, I do want to also ask you just about Pope Leo. You're a proud, staunch Catholic, but Pope Leo has gotten awfully political lately when it comes to some of our immigration policies. What would you say? There's a large Catholic contingency here in the Kansas City area. How are you handling it, and what would you say to the folks in Kansas City?
Well, it's a divided thing. Because you're trapped between public policy and theology. So anybody who's a Roman Catholic or most Protestant sects as well are compelled by the theology to help people in need. And you don't have to check their passport before you do that. So that's Leo's position. So I'm going to leave the secular stuff to the governments, but everybody's compelled to help the poor, help suffering, and that's right. But that's what the theology is based upon. But when you only go into one area and say, okay, and then by innuendo, Leo's not come out and said Trump's a bad guy or the United States is terrible. He hasn't done that because all the European countries are now cracking down on illegal migration as well, including Italy. All right? So they're all doing it because they can't afford it. They just can't pay for billions of people to be marching in. And that's what it would be. Everybody in the third world, they don't want to live in Niger. I mean, they're trapped. They can get out, they're going to get out. So it's a very complicated thing. It doesn't get me angry at all because I understand where Pope Leo's coming from. If Pope Leo were to condemn the United States immigration law, that would be another story. Then I might have to get involved with that. I'm going to petition the Pope to sit for an interview with me. I'm going to send him a picture of my book, A Bold, Fresh Piece of Humanity, where it's my confirmation picture on the cover. He said, come on, you got to give me an interview. The odds about that are heavy against, but it's not impossible. So I'm going to try. But I don't think the Pope's going to get out into U.S. politics. I don't think he's going to do that.
All right. Well, that would be smart of him. Bill O'Reilly on KCMO. Confronting Evil, obviously, is doing very well. And I'll say this on behalf of this radio station. Thank you to Bill. Next month, when we do our Children's Miracle Network Miracle Day of Hope, Bill is going to give a personally addressed signed copy of Confronting Evil to our top 10 donors who will help us raise thousands and thousands of dollars on behalf of the kids here in Kansas City. So thank you ahead of time for that, Bill. We appreciate it. And Confronting Evil, how are you going to package this thing for the holidays? I know that's been a kind of tough spot for you right now. So what are you doing?
Yeah, to tell you, can't put evil under the tree. No, doesn't work. So I'm putting evil and confronting the presidents together. Okay? We're giving you a great price for both books on BillO'Reilly.com. Get evil in that Christmas stocking. No.
Yeah, all right.
No, that doesn't really play. But it is a good gift. It'll hold people's attention, and you'll learn a lot. And I appreciate the charity you guys are doing out there in the KC area. And I'm pleased to be a part of it, and we'll raise a lot of money.
Yeah, you're helping a lot of kids, Bill. So thank you very much for that. Have we won't talk to you. I'll give you some time there. So have a great holiday season. Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you in 26.
All right. Have a good Thanksgiving, Linda.
All right. Bill O'Reilly, great to have him on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM. And streaming as always on the KCMO Talk Radio app. Fantastic as always. Yeah, that Children's Miracle Day of Hope is coming up in just a couple of weeks. We'll be doing that on Thursday, December the 11th. Fantastic. All right, let's do it. Your last chance right now to win tickets to see Parker McCollum. He's in the Northland at the new Morton Amphitheater next July the 31st. 7th caller, 913-408-7957.
from Lenexa to Lee Summit. You're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
All right, John, who won those Parker McCollum tickets, man?
I was just talking to Jim in Olathe. Looking forward to the show next summer, July 31st at Morton Amphitheater in Riverside. Lots of great shows coming, too.
Yeah, tickets on sale this morning.
Mm-hmm.
ParkerMcCollum.com is where you can grab your tickets. That's going to be a really cool amphitheater next year up there in Riverside.
I like when you can go and there's three bands, so it's Parker and then Gary Allen and Josh Abbott band too, so you get a good deal. Bang
Absolutely. I saw Rod Stewart's going to be up there next summer.
I think with Richard Marx, that's a good one.
Weird Al.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to be a cast of characters up there next summer. It's going to be
ask
fun.
about Morton. It's the Salt people. They moved their headquarters from Chicago to OP a couple of years back, and so now they're sponsoring the amphitheater.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, Bill O'Reilly was outstanding as always. Good to have him on the show. And I didn't think we'd get into the insurance conversation, but I'm glad that Bill is on it. And he's right when it comes to, the insurance companies. But I still think that tort reform on a state-by-state basis is where you will save a lot of money on homeowners insurance, on car insurance, across the board. Because right now, you got everyone and their mother suing somebody, and there's no risk to them, right? There's absolutely no risk. The attorneys take up the case, try to get a settlement, make a quick buck, and move on to the next case. What if there was liability against those who brought these frivolous lawsuits and against the attorneys who represented them in these frivolous lawsuits? That's what's got to happen. It's happening in Florida, and that's what I mentioned to Bill. And I'd love to see it happen in Kansas and Missouri. You will see insurance rates come down because you won't get these ridiculous ambulance chasers running after everybody that they can find. So that's got to happen. He's right, it's a state issue. But, man, if I could have Kansas and Missouri do one thing next year in the legislative session, that's at the top of my list. News coming up in 2 minutes. Buy, sell, hold is 15 minutes away on KCMO Talk Radio.
You're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM KCMO.
Yesterday, Sean Duffy, the transportation secretary, I think made a huge mistake when he came out and he said, you know what we've got to do? We've got to have people who are going on airplanes and are dressed a little better. Don't wear your pajamas on the airplane, said Sean Duffy. Might have seen that on social media. We talked about it towards the end of the show yesterday. And I'm like, bro, make sure I'm not sitting on the tarmac for 2 hours in one of these tiny seats where my butt hurts after 5 minutes. And maybe I'll start dressing a little nicer on the airplane. But until I'm guaranteed to have a smooth flying process, which doesn't happen in America anymore, why don't you worry about the things you can control, not my wardrobe? Why don't you worry about making sure that the airlines are getting off on time, that, you know, we don't have airplanes blowing up in the sky, colliding, coming out of Wichita? Why don't you make sure you're focused on that? And I'm not blaming him for any of that. I'm just saying that's where your priorities need to be, not on what I'm dressed in to go to the airport.
Societal issue, right? Got nothing to do with going to the airport. People dress the way they dress.
Yeah, and yes, could people dress nicer in general? Sure, absolutely. Is there respect that comes with a better wardrobe? No doubt about it. But they have made, not they as in Sean Duffy, but the airlines and yes, the FAA have made flying so unpleasant that being comfortable is like top of my list when I go to the airport, John.
You make every seat a first-class size seat. Yeah. Then we'll talk.
Well, and you know what?
Right.
These days, the first-class seats, that's the size of coach like 30 years ago, man.
How about that?
You know, it's like, it's just, I look at the first-class seats and I'm like, I'm pretty sure when I was a kid in the 90s, that's the size of the seats going back 30 years. And then they continue to shrink coach. And it's like, let's make sure people are dressing up. Sean, please don't tell me how to dress on the airplane, okay? But then, speaking of air travel, because I know a lot of you are going to be going on planes next week for the Thanksgiving holiday, this came from Portia Williams. I know that's not going to be a household name for many of you. She is a Real Housewives of Atlanta star. I know. Oh, John knows her. Yeah, John knows her well. Portia Williams. So she got interviewed yesterday by TMZ and went viral because she was very upset that when she got on the plane, she started scrolling through her phone, and her phone had the volume turned up. So every reel she's seeing on Instagram or TikTok or whatever is being heard by people around her. And she was upset that somebody told her to basically turn her phone off. Now, I love this because I believe that playing sound on your device with no headphones on a flight should be illegal. If I could be president for one day, along with tort reform, which I know O'Reilly says is a state issue, but if I had my magic wand, along with tort reform, the other thing I'd be doing is making it illegal, punishable with jail time, if you use your device on an airplane with no headphones. Here was Portia Williams explaining this yesterday to TMZ.
The lady who was sitting next to me, I was on my phone, and the volume was up on the phone. And she turned to me out of nowhere, and she said, "So you're going to make me listen to that the whole flight?" And I said, "Well, do you want to?" And she said, "No." And I said,
So you're going to listen to what?
"Am I going to make her listen to my phone?"
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I said, "This is before we took off." Yes, even before we took off. So she was like, "Are you going to make me listen to that the whole time?" And I said, "Well, do you want to?" And she said, "No." And I said, "Well, it was a nicer way to say that." And she said, "Bitch, you don't tell me bitch." And I was like,
Are you okay?
I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm just telling him what happened.
You were using your phone. It was
Yeah.
loud.
Yes.
And she complained about the loud.
She asked me, "Thank you so much."
Okay. Classy. No. No, you don't get to play the victim when you're the one who is playing your phone on an airplane, John.
I like to play the game when you hear these clips of how fast do you lose me? This woman turned to me out of nowhere. What?
Yeah.
She's right next to you.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere because you're playing whatever on your phone.
Yep, she lost me there.
Yeah. On the text line, Pete, I could understand if the flight had taken off, but folks were still boarding. It's not like it was a moment of silence. The entitlement is crazy. And if Karen had such an issue, she should have reported Portia to the stewardess. No, it's a Karen move to report to the stewardess. That's a Karen move. Then simply asking the person to turn their phone down as you're sitting there on the airplane waiting to take off. Everybody's uncomfortable. No one's really all that happy to be there. And then I got to listen to your TikTok reels as I'm sitting there waiting to take off, already uncomfortable. No. And if you, stewardess, by the way, you can't report anything to the stewardess if this is going on while people are boarding the plane.
I was going to say they're occupied.
Yeah, they've got a few things going on. So I had zero sympathy for this lady from the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I don't think she really got the sympathy she was looking for in all this.
No, but to the point there that started, are you going to make me listen to it? Okay, that was a little snarky on your part there,
Fine.
Mom. So, right, you can do a little better, but I probably would have been the same results, what I'm going to guess.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I think so too.
Right.
No matter what, this Portia would have made herself a victim here, right? She would have made herself a victim. Now, speaking of people making themselves victims, how about Dave Tobe yesterday? Chiefs special teams coach. Somehow he turned himself into the victim as he shared his level 9 TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, when he took issue with the president not being happy or not liking the new kickoff rules in the NFL.
The president criticized the new kickoff rules when he was at the Washington game. What's your reaction?
He doesn't even know what he's looking at. He has no idea what's going on with the kickoff rule. So, I mean, I take that for what it's worth. And I hope he hears it.
What is that all about? That was so out of left field.
Chortle, said the sports fatties.
It's like Trump called Dave Tobe's wife fat with the way he reacted there. Like, what was that all about? Trump didn't criticize the Chiefs. He didn't criticize Dave Tobe. He didn't criticize Harrison Butker. He didn't criticize anything to do with Dave Tobe. He criticized the NFL kickoff rules, which really, I would say, I haven't seen a poll on this, but I would say most fans are kind of like, yeah, it's pretty lame. I'm not even mad at Dave Tobe. I'm just trying to figure out why he had such a visceral reaction to Trump being like, yeah, I'm not a fan of the kickoff rules.
You've seen Sopranos, right? It's like when Johnny Sack gets torched about the joke about Jenny, right? And I've seen that on YouTube recently. It reminded me of that. He's got a vendetta out.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what this is. It's like, Dave, this wasn't about you, man. Now, when Dave Tobe comes out and he says that Trump doesn't know what he's looking at and he has no idea what's going on, I mean, some might say that about Dave Tobe based on how the special teams are looking this year for the Chiefs. My goodness, on Harrison Butker's blocked PAT last week, the right side of the offensive line was wide open. I mean, you could have driven a bus through that thing before Harrison Butker had that PAT blocked. They've had kickoffs out of bounds. I mean, Dave Tobe's got to worry about his own special teams before he gets all worked up about what Trump's commenting regarding special teams play in the NFL on a whole. That was very strange. Mike's in Olathe. What's up, Mike? You're on KCMO.
I say, Pete, I think the team itself is on edge. There's a lot of tension going on. Dave might have other issues going on personally. I would ask the question, Dave, why so sensitive? Why so sensitive, Dave?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
We see what's going on. Why so sensitive? Come on.
I'm not mad at Dave. Like, I'm not going to do some rant against Dave Tobe. I'm just like, why was that something that got him so triggered?
Well, it seems like that's probably the way the locker room is right now until they get another win. If they win Sunday, it might be a little less tense, but I think he's sort of portraying what's going on in everybody's sort of body right now with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, and then the end of on that Trump commentary when he's like, hey, I hope he hears that. Yeah, okay. All right, Dave. Easy does it, tough guy. Easy.
Just a typical populist take from Trump. I mean, how many of us actually like this kickoff thing?
Well,
We're cussing at me and my wife. We're like, what is this clown show stuff?
You've taken so many of the exciting plays from football out of the game.
Which was Trump's point. He says eliminate the pageantry.
Yes. I mean, you think about all the kick returns that you'd see
Dante
that were
Hall, X factor here.
Devin Hester with the Bears in his heyday. I mean, it was an exciting play, and it's out of the game. That's all Trump's saying. But my goodness, Dave took it personally, like this was his baby and this was his idea. So I don't know what that's all about, man. I think Mike might be onto something there in Olathe. Winning cures everything. Everyone's a little on edge. Everybody's a little triggered right now. They're 5-5. They got to beat the Colts on Sunday to realistically stay in the playoff race. And I don't know. But Dave easy does it there, Dave. It's going to be okay, buddy.
I will say Ray Davis returned one last night for a touchdown for the Bills.
Oh,
so
great.
we did get a return touchdown last night.
Great. So now we have one. And but here's the thing, Mark. That's the point. We saw one.
It was exciting.
And it was exciting. And we don't see them anymore. They don't happen anymore.
Yeah, I'm saying who?
Yeah, well, that's the other thing.
Yeah, with Dante, you expected it. You anticipated it.
Yeah, and now it's just a thing of the past. And when you see one, it's like, whoa, look at what we just saw. Because other than that, it doesn't happen much. Buy, sell, hold. 3 questions rolling into the 9 o'clock hour next on 95.7 FM KCMO.
On Friday's Guy Benson show, Ovik Roy, a policy wonk on health care. What should the Republicans propose with Obamacare failing? Coming up at 2 o'clock on KCMO.
8:50. Good morning. Happy Friday. Glad you're here on 95.7 FM KCMO. Let's roll it.
It's time to buy, sell,
how about it in 12 and a half, 15,
and hold.
All right. John Anthony, what is on the rundown for buy, sell, hold on a Friday?
All right, buy, sell, or hold. Trump's response to the Dems' disobey orders post plays into their hands.
I got to buy it. So if you missed it, a couple of days ago, you had 6 veterans who also are Democrats in Congress come out and basically say, you do not have to listen to Trump's illegal orders if you are in the military. Now, it was disingenuous because there's nothing that Trump is asking them to do that's illegal, right? In fact, a lot of these things have been held up in court, not all of them yet, but whether it's blowing up the drug boats coming to the United States or it's helping out the National Guard in major American cities to try to stem the violent crime that's happening in these major American cities, there's not a violation of any order going on there. So it was a disingenuous video. But I think the video was intended to bait Trump. And then Trump puts up a post on Truth Social yesterday saying seditious behavior punishable by death. And then what happened? Well, the Democrat members of Congress in the original video, they start going on CNN and MSNBC and being like, the president wants me dead. Help. And then they fundraise off of it and around we go. So I just think that Trump played into their hands. He fell for their trap on this one. And that's where you got to be careful on this thing. I think a lot of people are just going to roll their eyes at this. And you know, the diehard Trump haters on the left are going to look at it and be like, oh, man, here's another. Oh, boy, he wants us all dead. But what also annoys me about it is that they will get extra security on behalf of the taxpayer now. Now, despite the fact that you look at the violence, the major political violence in this country, and it ain't right on left, it's left on right. Let's be very clear. Whether it's Trump, whether it's Charlie Kirk, whether it's the ICE agents who are targeted in Dallas, whether it's the people involved in some of these heinous school shootings, it's clearly cutting one way. But now they've got this storyline and this narrative of like Trump wants us dead. And then the other thing is, I think about this from the standpoint of Charlie Kirk's legacy. Toning it down, not giving your political opponent the ability to go on TV and, you know, go off on like this guy wants us dead and this guy wants us to, you know, be harmed and oh my goodness, we're now, you know, fighting for our lives here. Don't give them that. They might do it anyway, but don't give them any ammunition. And that's part of, unfortunately, what happened here. And they've got their narrative now through the weekend, John.
All right, here's another one. Buy, sell, or hold. Kansas City is in danger of losing World Cup games.
Sell. Sell, sell, sell. So the president has said that he is keeping an eye on blue cities that are poorly run. And if they can't handle World Cup games, he will remove them from those cities. Mark Alford sent a letter to the president on Wednesday saying, hey, please don't take games away from Kansas City. We're doing a good job. That would be a big loss for Kansas City. And Mark Alford told us yesterday that was more proactive. Here's what I believe was going on. Mark Alford knows that he is about to represent Kansas City when redistricting kicks in next year. And he's trying to look like a good guy looking out for Kansas City and using his connection to the president to be like, hey, I'm looking out for Kansas City. I want the World Cup. I want it to go off well, and I want to keep it here in Kansas City. I don't believe there's any danger of Kansas City losing the World Cup at all. In fact, from the people I've talked to, Andrew Giuliani, who is overseeing the World Cup for the president's team, has been very impressed with Kansas City compared to some of the other, yes, blue cities that are out there. And I'm hopeful to get Andrew on the show. He was supposed to be in Kansas City, but then the government shutdown happened, so that trip got canceled. But he's expected to be here in town sometime in the next, I don't know, few weeks, couple of months. And I'm hoping we can get him on the show because from the people I'm hearing from, and these are not politicians, just to be clear. I'm not hearing from politicians who are like, yeah, he says we're doing a great job. Like these are private business people who are largely volunteering their time, their effort, and their resources to help make this World Cup great for Kansas City. They're the ones who, by the way, do have connections to the Trump administration who say Kansas City is ahead of the curve. So I'm happy about that. I don't think we are in any danger, and I do not believe that, frankly, at this point, it's going to happen anyway. I think it's largely a threat because you can't be moving World Cup games out of a city with, 10 months, not even 10 months to go. It's like 6-7 months away. It's not going to happen at this point, John.
It's not an all-star game,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, buy, sell, or hold Mark's parlay for the weekend.
Brought to you by FanDuel. All right, Mark, what do you got for me, big dog?
Woo! I got a $10 bonus bet to win $112. Ooh, let's go with this one. Chiefs going to win the game, so Chiefs money line.
Just straight up.
Straight up.
No spread.
Patrick Mahomes, 250 yards passing or more. He's done that in 6 straight games. Mahomes, 2 touchdown passes or more. Rashee Rice, 50 yards receiving or more. Travis Kelce, 50 yards receiving or more. He's done that in 5 straight now. Xavier Worthy, 25 yards receiving or more. Marquise Hollywood Brown, 25 yards receiving or more.
How is Indianapolis's pass defense?
Well, they added Sauce Gardner in the trade a couple weeks ago because they were not very good. He's only been in the system a couple weeks. They're getting Charvarius Ward back this week. I think there's going to be some communication issues in the secondary because they haven't played together.
And they're going to be at Arrowhead.
Yep.
Well, you know what, Mark? On behalf of our friends at FanDuel, I'm buying it, baby!
Let's go!
That's right. I'm pulling for you, big dog. I like this. Throw that up on social media, okay?
Will do.
Let the folks see it for themselves. And if they want to go down that rabbit hole with you on this 6-way parlay, let them join in on the fun. But Missouri, I'm sorry, you are still a week away from joining the Van Sickle parlay. But Kansans obviously can get in on the mix. So, all right, Mark, good job there, buddy. I like that one. Chiefs money line, Mahomes, 2 touchdowns, 250 yards. Rashee and Travis, 50 receiving yards. Hollywood and Xavier with 25 receiving yards apiece. All right. Got to spread that wealth. Everyone's got to eat on Sunday. That's good. Chiefs Colts coming up at noon. Coming up, Bobbi Jo Reed, an amazing Kansas City story as she dug out of the depths of addiction. She now is the founder of Healing House. She will join us in studio for our Feature Friday next. Well, every Friday morning, we like to have an in-studio guest here on KCMO. Our guest is going to be Bobbi Jo Reed. She is the founder and CEO of Healing House KC. They are now 23 years old. She has an amazing story as someone who overcame very serious addiction and now helping women in Kansas City turn around their lives. So she is running a few minutes late with the weather and the traffic and things like that. So she is just a couple of minutes away. But luckily, we got a great pinch hitter here. Carl Plager, the Director of Development at Healing House KC, is in studio as we wait for Bobbi Jo. So, Carl, good morning, my man.
Oh, good morning. It's great to be here, Pete.
How's it feel to be the backup quarterback today?
Well, that's a great role. It's like backing up Patrick Mahomes.
Well, that's well done there. Nice job by you. Great start. Okay, so let's just do the basics here on what Healing House KC is and what it does for Kansas City.
Sure, absolutely, Pete. Well, we are 23 years old, as you just said, and we were founded 23 years ago by Bobbi Jo Reed. What Bobbi Jo realized is she herself went through recovery and realized that there was very little options in Kansas City at that time, particularly for women who needed a little more than just than just detox. They really wanted to go through a program, very few beds. And so she was fortunate enough to inherit a little money, bought a house, and started out with the idea that she would love on about 6 to 8 women. 23 years later, we're 220 beds. We have 22 properties in total. We have 16 old houses in the northeast neighborhood of Kansas City and 3 apartment buildings.
Wow. So 220 women can be there at any given time.
Well, it's men and women now.
Men and women now.
We
Okay.
expanded that. As a matter of fact, on a typical night, we'll have as many as about 30 kids living in our properties as well.
Wow.
They're not in the program, but their parents are. But they're with them. And so we want to be gracious to that.
So is the program mostly tied to addiction, domestic abuse? What would you say it's based on?
Well, it's really addiction. Now, almost everyone in our program has had and experienced trauma as they've gone through their addiction. But our focus is substance use disorder recovery, both drugs and alcohol. And we want to help. We really have a model where it's not a 1 month kind of process. It's a life radical change. And so we help them with just a complete care cycle. So they come in, obviously, addiction recovery, but it also includes life skills, vocational skills. We are faith-based, so while we don't force that on anyone, you're going to bump into Jesus if you're at Healing House for any amount of time. So the goal really is to help transform their life so that they can really have long-term recovery.
How long is that program start to finish?
Well, we're a little unique in that we have no hard timeline when somebody has to leave. Now, our initial out-treatment placement program lasts between 30 to 60 days, kind of depends on where you're at in the program and progress. A lot around, have you found employment while you're with us, which will help them do. But we do have people then that leave when they're done with that treatment. But then we have a lot of, over half, that'll transition into what we would call our advanced houses. And so they get a little more freedom. They start to have a little more involvement outside the community. One of the things we do is they don't have phones. We take their phones.
That's smart.
For that first month. Because they really do need to change almost everything about their past lifestyle. About a third of our folks come straight from corrections.
Wow.
So they're entering Healing House straight from prison or jail situation. But they know they want to change their life, and they know they can't go back to what they knew before. And so Healing House gives them that opportunity to make that transition.
Well, I got good news for you, Carl. I can tap you out, buddy. The quarterback's here, starting quarterbacks in-house. Bobbi Jo Reed, good morning. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. So first off, what do you have coming up tomorrow?
Oh, it is our open house, and it's amazing. We decorate everything for Christmas. So for many years, people have came to Healing House to kind of kick off their holidays. And so we have 15-foot trees decorated, and it's all Christmas, and it's just a great time to come and catch up with one another and see what's new. There's always something new at Healing House.
That's amazing. Your story obviously is one of courage and comeback. Take us through, your story, and for people that don't know it, you start socially drinking before you're a teenager, and then things just spiral from there. What happened? What led to that? And then how did you find your way out of it?
I had a home where everybody worked, and at 12 years old, I was working a job, started hanging out with older coworkers, and I had never been a chubby kid, speech impediment coming up, never really, I had friends, but something was missing. First time I took a drink, I got drunk, and I thought, man, I have arrived. I thought it filled every void in my life. It made me fit in better. It made me sexier as a 12-year-old could be, right? Mm-hmm. And it made me feel like I belonged, and I just couldn't wait to do it again. And so I know that by the time I was 13, I was an alcoholic, and 22 years I was in my addiction. And it just got worse and worse and worse. A lot of bad things happened along the way. My first intimate experience was a rape 1 week before my 16th birthday. I became pregnant. My folks sent me to have an abortion, a soul-robbing experience. And the deeper and deeper I went into my addiction. When I came home from that procedure, we never even talked about it. I went to my bedroom, and we didn't talk about it after that. And so a lot of unresolved issues and trauma going on. And instead of dealing with it, I just drank it away. And it ended up, eventually, I was homeless in the street, living under the boxes on the back of semis. I was living under one of those and couldn't even form a sentence. You see, I've overcome that pretty well.
Yeah.
But really just as down and out as a human being could be. Every time I came to, I thought, oh my God, I got to do it again. I just want to die. Mm-hmm. I don't want to have to go through another day of this hell. And but God seemed fit to save me even when I didn't want saved. I just wanted to leave this world. And I got a great story, if we got a minute.
Yeah.
I was down in Myrtle Beach, and I was shopping for my kids in the ministry. And I go to this bin store, and I knew we were bringing a lot of things back. So I took those space bags that suck all the air out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd have more room.
When is this, by the way?
This was last week.
Okay.
So I drove in Sunday from Myrtle Beach. So we're out in the parking lot. The girls are doing the space bags. I've got the last cart in the store, and it's heaped up. And there's a lady in front of me at the checkout, and she said, What is this for? And I said, well, I've got a ministry in Kansas City. And she started bawling her eyes out. And she said, you're Bobbi Joe, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah, honey, I am. And it was so crazy. She just crying. So we talked about 15 minutes. And then I gave her my card. And that night she called and invited me and the girls for dinner the next day. So we went, and she said, I have to tell you exactly to the day 5 months ago where your van was parked is where I shot myself in the chest and tried to kill myself 5 months ago to the day. So she had sat in that same parking lot in her vehicle and couldn't see a reason to keep going on. How awesome of a God do we serve? Not only that we were in the store at the very same time. We were parked in her parking spot that she tried to take her life in. And now she had got out of treatment 3 weeks before. And she said, this is just a miracle to me. I can't tell you how your movie inspired my life. And so another friend of hers drove an hour and a half to come have dinner with us. But it's just, it doesn't matter where you're at. God can use you in a powerful way, and for me to make that connection with her is just beautiful.
So she knew you through your movie.
Yes.
that is out.
They had showed it when she was in treatment 3 weeks before.
Okay. And where can people see that movie, by the way?
It's on Tubi and Amazon Prime, and it's called Bobbi Joe Under the Influence. Have Kleenex. That's all I can say, but
Yep.
I will follow up with this. The outcome is pretty doggone good.
Absolutely, it is. And Kansas City is obviously getting rewarded because of your hard work and amazing story. And what do you, when you look back on some of those dark days and, you know, the abortion that you dealt with and all these different things, when did faith become a growing part of what you realized was going to be your success story and your comeback story?
I had started going to a church because the guy was dating was going to church, so I went. And I stayed for the praise and worship part, but then I was out of there. I went to an AA meeting. And
So you were in recovery at this point?
I was in recovery, and my mom was real sick with cancer, and I was taking care of her. And on the 30th, 1998, December 30th, both I had roommates. They had both relapsed. My boyfriend was living with me, and my mom died on December. I just lost my date. December 30th, and so I was out getting her urn on New Year's Eve to put her ashes in. And when I came home, my boyfriend was gone, and I thought, here it is, New Year's Eve. He would not leave me right after my mom died. He wouldn't do that. But we were supposed to be having something at the church. So I went out to the church, and he wasn't there. He had chose to go out smoke crack. And my heart dropped down into my gut. And I had never felt so alone, not even when I was in the street. I was 3.5 years sober. And anyway, I started bawling my eyes out. I went home. I started praying to God more humbly than I'd ever prayed in my life. I mean, from my gut. And it was me, the cat, and the dog. And I was crying out to God, and I brought in the new year praying to God. And when I woke up January 1st of 1999, the Holy Spirit had taken up residence in me. And I had asked him to lead and direct my steps, to show me what to do. I begged him not to let me go back where I came from, because I couldn't return to that hell. I didn't have it in me. And so when I woke up the 1st of 99, he started directing my steps. I kicked the crackhead boyfriend to the curb. I started busting moves that I normally wouldn't have, and I have to say from that day forward, it's been a faith journey. And I mean, people think I'm crazy. I'm always like, well, God put on my heart we need to do this, and God put on my heart to do that. My board is like, yeah, that's great, but we don't have any money. And I'm like, but my dad does, right?
Yeah.
My dad has all the money in the world. And, golly, I miss so much being drunk all those years. I've got some good stuff in me. I got good stuff to give the world. And I was making wreaths, Christmas wreaths till 2 o'clock this morning, and I have the most blessed life a person could ever imagine. I got to live that life, that addiction life, but now I get to live the life that God intended me to do. And my heart and my days are full. Me and Mama Judy used to call it God juice, right? Because we're like little Energizer bunnies. We go all the time, and it's just getting to help people and getting to see miracles every single day of your life is a pretty awesome thing.
That is absolutely amazing. Bobbi Jo Reed, Healing House KC, is here on KCMO. We're going to take a quick break, come back, and hear about some of those stories and more on a Feature Friday here on KCMO.
From Leawood to Liberty, you're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Our feature Friday guest, Bobbi Jo Reed, Healing House, Kansas City. Find them at healinghouse.org, doing amazing work in this community. Before we get to the event tomorrow, Bobbi Jo, as we get ready for the holidays, what is the Christmas story that we've got to hear?
Oh, okay. So a few years back, I always would start buying things and take backpacks out to the homeless people. And I'd include a little New Testament Bible, flashlight, perishable and non-perishable foods, things you'd need out there, warm gloves and stocking caps and socks. And so this one particular morning, we were all going out, Christmas morning. And so
What year is this?
This has been probably 12 years ago, 15 years ago.
Okay.
And so in one van, I have 6 ex-prostitutes off Independence Avenue. I'm talking some gals have been out there for 17 years. These were long-term. So in one van, it's when that guy was killing all the women and throwing them in the river. They were fine. He was killing prostitutes. Anyway, so I have 6 ex-prostitutes in one van. We stop at the gas station. The girls are getting gas. I go inside to get a cup of coffee, and I look out, and there's a squad car next to that van. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, oh, my goodness, do these girls have warrants? How much money am I going to have to come up with? And so I go to the door, go out the door, and one girl yells and says, "Mom, he's calling for backup." I thought, sweet Jesus, this is not going to be good. Mm-hmm. And so I go walking across the lot. This big burly police officer comes over and he says, "Are you the one they call Mom?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he just grabbed a hold of me and he gave me the biggest bear hug. And he was welled up in his eyes. And he said, "We thought all these women were dead." And he said, "Not only are they not dead, but they're out here on Christmas morning, chubby, passing out Bibles to people, homeless people." And he said, "This is a miracle." And he said, "Lady, today you restored my faith." And he called the other officers from East Patrol because they really thought all these women had been killed.
So they had followed these women, and they knew of them, obviously, just being cops, but they thought that they had died at the hands of the
guy that was killing them all. Yeah. And so he was just blown away. And, police officers see bad things time after time, and they don't see the other side of that many times. And so he called the other officers from East Patrol. They all came down. We were at a gas station. They all came down there. They were hugging the girls. They were so proud of them. They're like, "Oh, my gosh, we really thought you girls were gone." Yeah, wow. They had seen them for so many years out there. And for them, he said, to be chubby and passing out Bibles on Christmas morning, this is a miracle.
That is. Well, you're working miracles every day. I know you've got a big event coming up tomorrow.
Yeah.
What's going on tomorrow here in our last couple of minutes?
Okay, tomorrow's our open house. It's just a celebration of kicking off the holidays. We have an angel tree so people can adopt one of our participants. And lots of food, music, beautiful. You get to tour the different properties. The people that live there actually will take you through the houses and let you see. We just acquired a firehouse. So I am going to be the first. I'm going to dress up like Mrs. Claus, and I'm going down that pole, I'm telling you.
Okay, all right. That's a bold statement.
I love it. It needs to be on our Christmas card next year. But anyway, it's at 114 Elmwood, and but the parking's a little jinky, but come on down. We'll have people directing traffic. It starts at 1 p.m. till 5. You can drop by any time during that. Come just celebrate the season with us, have some great food, fellowship, and see God at work.
Amazing. Bobbi Jo Reed, healinghouse.org, healinghouse.org, 1 p.m. tomorrow till 5 is their open house to celebrate the holiday season. Thank you so much, Bobbi Jo. It's great to have you here again, and congratulations on everything that you've done.
Yes, thank you.
You bet. There you go. Amazing story. HealingHouseKC.org. sportsbook.org is how you find them. We'll get to the news in 1 minute, and then our caller of the day is coming up on 95.7 FM KCMO.
Hey, it's Vince Gallane's Catch My News Show at 11 o'clock after Kevin Kietzman on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
If you are not moved by Bobby Joe Reed's story with Healing House, I just can't help you. Can't do it. Ahead of the holidays. Thanksgiving, of course, next week. It's a Red Friday in Kansas City on KCMO Talk Radio. It is great to have you here as well. So I'll set up the caller of the day because early this morning we had a conversation about Sharice Davids, Congresswoman on the Kansas side of the state line, and she put up a post saying, hey, you know what's got to happen? We've got to have the conversation about health insurance, about extending Obamacare subsidies, and we've got to have that conversation starting today. She sent a letter to Speaker of the House Mike Johnson saying, we write to you once again about the urgent matter of affordable care and the premiums around the ACA, that's the Affordable Care Act, that are set to expire at the end of the year. She writes here, up to 24 million ACA enrollees are facing gross premium increases, averaging 26%, and actual monthly cost increases around 114%. She says here, many Americans that will be hit by these exorbitant costs live in congressional districts represented by Republicans. Ignoring the issue will be catastrophic to millions and runs counter to President Trump's promise to lower costs for Americans. So she's playing a political game. Obamacare is such a disaster that it has to be subsidized to the tune of $150 billion by the taxpayer. If not, it's not affordable, which means it's not affordable. It is inherently unaffordable.
False
if the
advertising.
only way it's affordable is if the government subsidizes it, John. That's it.
The government subsidized Affordable Health Care Act.
When it's affordable because the government's paying for it, then it's not actually affordable.
There you go.
Okay? So Dave Ramsey called this. Dave, of course, is on KCMO weeknights at 10 p.m. I want to play this clip from 2016, almost 10 years ago. Dave Ramsey said this, and then we'll get to our caller of the day.
To say that Obamacare is an unmitigated economic disaster is an understatement. When the cost to cover someone, a group of people, goes up, that insurance companies have two choices. One, go out of business. Two, raise their prices. The people that put Obamacare together either had one of two agendas. Either they were absolute economic morons, or they fully intended to destroy the health insurance industry and completely put them out of business so that the government would be the only provider of health insurance. Let me explain to you what's happening, okay? We told you that because of Obamacare, that health insurance rates were going to go through the roof. First piece of data I got was from my state, and my state's just indicative of the other states. Obamacare has cost my tiny little company millions, with an S, of dollars already in increased health care cost. Now, when a little company like mine that has 600 team members is cost millions of dollars, there's a real simple effect to that. That's money I don't have to hire people with because it's going to stupidity. And so you want to slow down job growth. You know, you suck money out of the economy with a vacuum cleaner called socialism on some kind of trash like this. But now get ready. It's not over. Blue Cross Blue Shield in the state of Tennessee is the largest insurer, and they are announcing today a 62% increase in premiums for next year. If your blue jeans, if a gallon of milk, a gallon of gas all went up 62%, you people would be storming Washington with pitchforks and torches. But you know what Americans are going to do? They're going to stand back and look at this and yawn because it's coming through their companies and they get the bill and they're just like, oh my God, my health insurance went up. What am I going to do? I can't afford my health insurance. And it's all because of Obamacare. It's because socialism does not work. It's a very simple economic formula. But these morons in the White House can't figure it out. 1/7 of the U.S. economy is healthcare, and it just went up 62%. And this state is indicative of what's happening in every other state. This crap is coming down from Washington, D.C. And this is the effect of Washington taking control of an entire industry and screwing it up. And let me help you with this. If a company makes blue jeans or milk and they have employees, their cost to do business just went up dramatically. Do you think that that's not going to be passed on to you in higher prices? Oh, it'll be gradual and it'll be incremental. And that's how you boil a frog. You turn it up slowly. And a bunch of you frogs aren't paying enough attention, and you're getting boiled.
And, that is so good from Dave Ramsey. And that's from almost 10 years ago. That's from 2016. Dave Ramsey talking about Obamacare. And unfortunately, there are still some frogs who are getting boiled. The difference is they're dead and they don't realize they're dead. That's the problem here. They've been boiled. They've been cooked. They've been cooked by their government. They've been cooked by Obamacare. And somehow, the people who did this to them, they're still giving the benefit of the doubt. It makes no sense. And here is our caller of the day.
It's the Mundo in the Morning Caller of the Day on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
John in Grain Valley. What's up, John?
Good morning, Pete. On this wet Friday, since I'm in a bad mood, allow me to vent for a few minutes. Sharice Davis and all the other ones just like her rely on their undereducated, uneducated, 30-second TikTok brain voter base to say, wow, yeah, you're right. They can't do research. They won't do research. She can't. She won't. They knew this was a mess. They never fixed it. They had opportunities. Everyone told them this was going to happen. It's the same thing that's going on in a lot of these cities when we had the finger quote undocumented workers. When they start arriving in your city, rents go up. Why is that? Because you just dropped 20,000 people into a city that only has room for 10,000. And oh, by the way, when the government comes in and says, gee, no worries, we'll pick up the slack. And then the owners go, wait a minute, you mean you're going to pay the difference? It was the same thing with the diabetes medication. The companies still charge $600 a shot or whatever it was, but they only charged the consumer $200 and paid the $400 to the company. So then the company said, well, that's now an $800 shot. And they said, oh, okay, no problem. You don't have to pay. You're still paying $200.
Yeah.
We'll just pay these companies $6. So every time you transfer a cost over to somebody else, that's like someone picking up the bar tab. You go, oh, wow, if I'd known that, I would have drank in a good Sam Adams as opposed to Bud Light. It's the same difference. And eventually, like Margaret Thatcher said, you're going to run out of people's money. We're $38 trillion in debt, approaching $40 trillion. We don't have the money. And until people start waking up and understanding that all these economic dots are connected, do a little research. Matter of fact, let's try this. Ask the question, why is that? What is that? What does that mean? In other words, invert back to that wonderful 5-year-old self that you had when you asked mom and dad, why is that? What does that mean?
Thank you, John. Thank you. I got to rate you. I know you're on a roll, man. You're on a roll. But if you talk any longer, I'm gonna have to put your name on the show. All right. It's gonna be the Pete and John in Grain Valley show. But I get what he was going for, and he's fired up on a rainy, dreary Friday morning.
Indeed.
He was lit there. He was absolutely lit.
There was 5 more minutes of it.
Lit. This is lit.
I screened him in, so he talked to me for a couple of minutes before he even hit the airwaves. So, yeah.
I love how he said there at the end of the call, I'm rolling. Let him cook. Oh, man, you got to love that. The caller knew he was kicking butt on the call. But I was up against a break, so I'm like, I got to rein you in, and he never took a breath. He never took a pause. But there you go. John in Grain Valley, our caller of the day on KCMO.
He was the chef. He was cooking.
He was. Let's wrap up the show with Kietzman right here on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
From Gladstone to Gardner, you're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
You can't avoid it on social media. I mean, even if you're just a mild Chiefs fan, you're going to go on your social media feed, and I guarantee you're going to see Chiefs special teams coach Dave Toad with, did I just call him Toad? Well, that's what he deserves to be called. Forget Dave Tobe. He acted like a total toad yesterday. That's the nicest thing I can call him. When he had this random explosion of Trump derangement syndrome that just came out of nowhere.
The president criticized the new kickoff rules when he was at the Washington game. What's your reaction?
He doesn't even know what he's looking at. He has no idea what's going on with the kickoff rule. So, I mean, I take that for what it's worth. And I hope he hears it.
Yeah, hope he hears it. Where did that come from? Like, I'm not going to even sit here and rant on Dave Toad. I'm just going to be like, what was that all about, dude? Kietzman's here. Kevin, what is going on with Dave Toad?
Well, it didn't bother me that much because I think they're both right. Look, I don't understand the kickoff rules. We're all watching it. We hate it. Nobody understands any of it. You get a group of people together and say, okay, where's the ball go if it goes in the end zone? Where does the ball go if it goes out of bounds? Nobody knows anything. There's a landing zone. They don't put the shade up. They haven't really tried to teach the rules to these fans. I couldn't care less about the stupid kickoff rules. It's awful. That's all we know. It's not real football. It needs to go college. I watch a college game and I'm like, oh, okay, this is better. Let's go back to this. So Trump is right and Dave Tobe is right. Trump doesn't know the rules, but nobody knows the rules. I'm not sure Dave Tobe knows the rules, to be honest. I've watched the Chiefs special teams all year. Are they the worst in the NFL? Who's worse at special teams than the Chiefs? And who has more special teams penalties than Jack Cochran? Okay? And he's still out there doing it. It's pathetic. They're terrible at special teams. Butt kicker is now like the 18th best kicker in the league. The punter isn't as good as the guy they had a couple years ago. This was Houston. He kicked last night. His name's evading me right now.
Tommy Townsend.
Tommy Townsend, yeah. He's supposedly got this great leg, but I haven't seen it. What do they do well special teams-wise? They're not any good anymore, and we got to look at Dave Tobe at that. So this sounded like a coach that maybe has been chewed out by his head coach a few times this year, and now he's hearing about Trump. Like, I ain't taking this crap anymore. They were talking about Dave Tobe as a head coach 4 or 5 years ago. Well, these are bad special teams. It's not just that they're average; they're not good. The Chiefs are bad at this.
And
the weakest part of their game.
Don't forget, too, even that blocked PAT last week, that was not on Bucker. I mean, the right side of the offensive line, you could have driven a bus through that thing on that blocked PAT. It was terrible.
Exactly my point. That was a poor blocking scheme or somebody missed an assignment or whatever, but they keep trotting the same guys out there that are making the mistakes. Look, college teams, even good college teams like Alabama and Ohio State, sometimes will put their 2 or 3 best players out there on special teams. It's time for the Chiefs to do that. Seriously, if you need to put some of your best offensive linemen out there to block so your extra points don't get blocked, do it. If you need to put, somebody really skilled, if you need to put Xavier Worthy back there returning kicks, do it. Whatever it takes, it's time to start putting your best players on the field. I don't care about the 52nd guy on the roster. They're not good enough on special teams to just play the rummies out there.
It's an excellent point. Kietzman's here. He's coming up with Uncanceled on KCMO. I want to ask you something, Kevin, since I know that you covered this closely when it was all going down. It was before I was here, and that is the Rams leaving St. Louis. Terry Bradshaw was in St. Louis last night, and he talked about how it's a travesty St. Louis does not have an NFL team, and he said we all knew that Stan Kroenke was going to do this and move the team and take them to L.A. When you look on that period of time, is there anything that St. Louis could have done to save the Rams?
Well, yes, through the state of Missouri, like everything else, if they wanted to build him a brand new stadium, it may have happened, but Kroenke probably was going to go to L.A., but, he gave him chances for a while, and we've watched the Chiefs and Royals take 4 years now and do nothing. That's kind of what was going on in St. Louis. And then Kroenke said, you know what, I'm done with this. This is stupid. I can go to L.A. and build the coolest stadium in the world and make $1 gazillion, and he did it. But let's not forget, St. Louis had lost an NFL team before that. Okay, they lost the Cardinals. And they've got a huge history of being like the worst NFL city in America. We used to have a chip on our shoulder about St. Louis. Oh, they're a better sports town. They're a better city. Well, Kansas City's the cool city now because we've got a 3-time Super Bowl champion, and they can't keep an NFL team. And these St. Louis people that run around bragging about the St. Louis Blues doesn't work with any football fan or any real sports fan in America. So they've blown it. They clearly have no commitment to NFL football, and it is not a travesty. They've blown it multiple times, and I think they're about to lose the Chiefs in the state of Missouri. So maybe we need to look at Jeff City.
All right. How about that? You know, you were in the meeting last week when a major advertiser was here, and they had made a trip to St. Louis. They then came to Kansas City, and they said the quiet part out loud. They said, you know, we thought we were going to like St. Louis more, but after spending a couple of days there and a couple of days in Kansas City, we like Kansas City a heck of a lot better. And, you know, you're right. You think about a generation ago, I mean, St. Louis was kind of the most Western East Coast city, and it kind of had that panache to it, and now that's totally gone.
It's completely gone, and if they try to say anything negative about Kansas City, we just laugh it off now. The one thing that has happened over the last decade with the Chiefs being so good, and some of the things we've done, I mean, you know, I know there was controversy about a new airport terminal. There's been controversy about the hotel downtown and Sprint Center being built and all these things. These improvements in our city are really positive improvements, and it's one of the reasons why I understand why the Royals want a new stadium. Those ballparks are done out there as far as I'm concerned. I think the Chiefs probably will go new, but I don't know. Maybe they stay where they are. We don't really know. But these improvements have made us a better community. It's put us ahead of St. Louis. We're just better in a lot of ways. And we really did have a chip on our shoulder. We were kind of embarrassed. They'd pick on us, people from St. Louis. We all know people from St. Louis. And they'd pick on us, and we'd feel bad about ourselves. And we didn't have a comeback other than 85 World Series. And then, you know, now we just laugh it off. If they try, well, they don't even say anything anymore because they know.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not doing as well as Kansas City. They're just not.
And the political power is shifting as well. Like this guy, John Patterson, who's Speaker of the House now in Jeff City. This side of the state has not had a Speaker of the House in like 100 years until John Patterson. He's now launched a big state Senate campaign. I even think you're seeing the political power shift away from St. Louis. Springfield's always had a lot of it, but it's now coming up our way with some pretty competent people in the Kansas City area. So everything from the sports to the politics is moving out of that hub of St. Louis. And not that it's totally gone, but it's just not what it was. And I think that'll be beneficial in many ways for Kansas City. What about you?
I agree. And you know, if Mayor Cleaver is gone, if this redistricting puts him out, it puts a Republican in there in a new district, that's going to be progress for that district. I know there's a lot of Democrats that won't agree with that because they're into, you know, free grocery stores and free buses and all this other stuff. But it's going to get better for everyone in that district in a lot of meaningful ways. It will work for them. And I honestly think they redrew the map there instead of somewhere in St. Louis because the competition with Kansas. St. Louis, Missouri doesn't compete with Illinois. I always believe competition is good. I know these governors said a long time ago, we're not going to compete. I think it's good that Kansas and Missouri compete against each other. And Missouri does not compete against Illinois in the St. Louis area. They haven't had to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is a positive thing. If Cleaver's out and a Republican's in, it's going to get even better over here.
Kevin, have a great weekend, my man. Uncanceled is right around the corner, and we'll talk to you on Monday.
Thank you, buddy. Thanks.
There you go. Kietzman on 95.7 FM. Uncanceled coming up right after the news. Have an awesome weekend. Go Chiefs. We're back on Monday morning at 6.